Every tech reviewer seems to get and review pretty much every single phone as soon as it launches. Normal people though generally stick with their phones for a good while, and when they go to upgrade, sometimes they even look at a little bit older models that are a bit cheaper. So today, I want to share my thoughts on my tried and true iPhone 13 Pro Max, which I have been daily driving, without a case by the way, since it launched 2 years ago. This phone has so much amazing stuff going for it, but there is one big flaw that I completely overlooked a couple years ago when I originally purchased it. Let me know what your favorite cell phone ever was in the comments down below, and if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Now, I've been using this guy for a little over 2 years now, and before I go into any of the internals, I want to talk about the externals first. I have not ever put this thing in a case, like I said a little bit earlier, and it is held up extremely well. There's minor hairline scratches on the display that you can't really see when the display is actually on, as well as some little nicks and dings on the stainless steel rail, but there has been zero serious cosmetic damage, and that's saying a lot. I treat it really nicely, but I've been all over the place and I've traveled with it extensively, and every once in a while it ends up falling out of my pocket. And on top of that, all of the buttons still work perfectly, so to be completely honest, this thing has been incredibly durable, and I have nothing to complain about as far as the build. And for anybody considering the 13 Pro Max, I do want to mention really quick, this color has never come back. This is the Sierra Blue colorway. They launched it with the 13 Pro series and they've never brought it back since. And it's honestly, I think, my favorite iPhone color ever. So with all the external stuff out of the way, how has this phone really held up? Starting with the battery health, after 2 years and a couple months of usage, I am down to 89% full capacity. That's not as bad as I would have expected. The thing had about a day to a day and a half of battery life when I first purchased it, which at the time was mind-blowingly incredible. And I'm happy to report, even at 89% full capacity, I can still easily get an entire day of heavy use out of this phone. Of course, if I'm playing games on it or something, or some sort of intensive task, it'll die a little bit quicker. But with normal use, such as calls, texting, social media, photos, videos, and a little bit of YouTube, I still easily get through the end of the day with battery to spare. The processor and how the phone really runs has also stayed remarkably good. The 120 Hz display still maintains all of its smoothness, and I haven't dropped frames. Over the past couple years, I've had 2 to 3 crashes where to fix I needed to fully reset my phone, but besides those couple incidences, it still feels like a top-of-the-line phone. I do a lot of multitasking, and lately I've noticed the phone is starting to heat up a little bit more than I'm used to, and that's definitely a sign that the computer is starting to have some difficulty processing everything at once, but it hasn't even gotten close to being an obnoxiously warm device yet when I'm doing intensive multitasking, and I rarely do enough to get the phone really heating up anyway. The biggest issue I've had with this phone, being a couple years old, is honestly the antennas. It's not frequently happening, but maybe every other week to every other 2 weeks-ish, I'll have cell service just completely drop. It comes back after like 30 seconds, but I've had a couple dropped calls because of it, which has been frustrating. Because of my work, I'm around phones constantly, and I get to use and play with the latest and greatest devices all the time. As a big tech enthusiast who is generally always into the latest and greatest devices, I feel kind of weird to say that I'm still perfectly happy with my few-year-old phone. The cameras on this device are still fantastic. The 13 Pro Max was originally the first smartphone camera that I started taking photos with that I was like truly blown away. I was like, this looks incredible. The photos are incredibly sharp and the colors are gorgeous, pending some light photo edits. The big drawback and the thing I just kind of looked over in the hype of getting a new phone a couple years ago was the transfer speeds with the lightning port. A big sales point for this phone when it originally launched was its ability, first in class, to shoot ProRes video. With that being true, when the phone launched, I got myself the 1TB model and I just started shooting away. And some of the early videos on this YouTube channel were completely shot and filmed on this phone. The footage is gorgeous and I love it. Regardless though of how much I loved it, moving hundreds of gigs of footage off of this phone was a nightmare. If it worked, it would take forever. So if you're specifically looking for a good video camera, that is the only reason I would strongly recommend going to the new models. With the ability to record to external drives and the transfer speeds of USB-C on the iPhone 15s, it's kind of a no-brainer. That's the only real issue I've had with this phone though. It's been a really good 2 years and I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a phone for that long. If you're looking at some more recent iPhones right now, I would strongly recommend looking at the 13 Pro Max. It is a great big phone that holds up incredibly well. If you have any questions about the 13 Pro Max, comment down below and I will answer any questions that are given. And if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you guys next time.